On October the 29th, 2015, the tribunal announced that the South China Sea was under its arbitration jurisdiction, and it would announce its ruling at the end of 2016. A game of strategy behind the arbitration is upgraded in a comprehensive way. After the Philippines initiated international arbitration, the U.S. Department of State published number 143 of Limits in the Seas, entitling China Maritime Claims in the South China Sea, in which it publicly announced support for the Philippines and claimed that the South China Sea dotted lines claim was without basis under the international law of the sea. While urging China to abide by international laws, the U.S. itself has not acceded to the UNCLOS. Apart from that, the frequent intrusion by U.S. military aircraft and ships in the South China Sea not only poses a threat to the order of the South China Sea, but also hampers peace and stability in surrounding countries and in the South China Sea as a whole.
South China Sea is among the strategic channels, and it is all too clear to the Americans. Taking the so-called freedom of navigation as an excuse, the U.S. wants to intervene in this region and blockade China in the South China Sea.
Apart from the United States, Japan is also forcefully intervening in the South China Sea disputes and strengthening joint military exercises with the Philippines. This not only complicates but also internationalizes the situation in the South China Sea, setting up more barriers for relevant countries to solve the problem and imposing more challenges to stability in the South China Sea.
South China Sea issue is a matter concerning China's neighbors, its relations with ASEAN as a whole, as well as its international image as a permanent member of the Security Council of the United Nations, for which some countries do not care at all. So I think at present, we still need to keep calm and exercise restraint and never lose our reason.
At present, the Philippines' provocation, the United States and Japan's powerful intervention makes it even harder to stop the trend of Nansha disputes from becoming more complicated and ever-changing.
The dual-track approach. One of the tracks refers to peace and stability in the region of South China Sea. This can be achieved by letting countries in the region, China and ASEAN countries in particular, shoulder side by side shared responsibility. The other track is the jurisdiction of islands and demarcation of sea. This can be achieved by letting China and other relevant countries, especially states that are involved, to solve the issue through bilateral consultations and negotiations.
A reference to ancient volumes depicting the South China Sea Islands as reviewed article by article with the basic principles of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, provides both historical evidence and a legal basis for China's indisputable sovereignty over the Nansha Islands. But the Philippines and other countries not only illegally occupy the islands and reefs, but also strengthen their national defense strength through so-called development, expansion of reef, and construction of military fortresses and airports. Their actions have brought about many uncertainties, uneasiness, and unprecedented challenges for waters surrounding China. The South China Sea issue was now a thorny challenge, but the position held by China towards the issue never wavers. The Chinese government is determined to defend national sovereignty and marine rights and interests, and, working side by side with ASEAN countries, to maintain peace and stability in the South China Sea. From the perspective of long-term and fundamental interests in the region, a peaceful solution to the South China Sea disputes is not only conducive to stability in the Asia-Pacific region, but also of great significance to the world as a whole.